Marketing basically involves 4 P's. The first being a product, and how you decide whether you want the product. Means that, is there a need for some solution? Is there a need? Is there a need for a watch? Okay. So suppose you're a Rolex manufacturer. You say, okay, I want to make a watch. Why do I mean, there's so many watch manufacturers in the world, and they all tell time. So you do an innovation on it. As okay, I'm going to make my watch which will last a lifetime, which a father can give his son, the son can give his son. Okay. So he's found there's a solution. So before you arrive at the product, you identify the need. You involve whether it means innovation for that to be different than somebody else, and then whether it's a solution. There could be an engineering problem which needs a solution, and hence a product. Maybe something to reduce lower energy consumption in a car. So maybe nowadays you have cars with blue efficiency, which switch off at a signal. Because the need was to reduce fuel consumption, so the innovation was to switch off the engine if there was a time lag waiting at a signal at a car, so the car automatically switches off to save consumption of fuel, and then restarts. Not that we need that in the Middle East. So we're used to just sitting there burning our fuel. So then there's a solution and an innovation, and this come out of research. So that's how you analyze and require a product. And then there's a price to that product. Whether there should be value for money, it should adhere to a certain quality, and you see what the competition is offering for it. If you come up with a price for a similar product, which the competition is offering at half the price, then basically you've got something wrong somewhere. Oops, sorry, more than touch. Okay. And then you get into the place. Where are you going to produce this product? How are you going to distribute it? And where are you going to place it? Like you will not see a Dior perfume in a supermarket. You see it at a different kind of store. So that's how you decide, you place it, where you will place the product, and where you want to see the visibility of your product. And to achieve that placement, the price and the product, you get into promotion. And that's where you answer yes. You want to get into advertising. Are you going to go into social media? Are you going to go into video? Are you going to go into print media? So you get into advertising, then there's public relations, there is sales, which is also a part of promotion. Whether it's an event you're going to sponsor, and it all has to be very strategic. The marketing is a long-term concept. It does not involve money. It's a capital expenditure. You don't earn money in marketing. You spend money in marketing. That's the one basic thing. It's strategic. Whether you want to go business to business, like say IBM selling computers, or say let's say SAP Labs selling a customized product to a bank. That's a business to business marketing and a solution. And you take into idea of it. There's no interaction with customer, it is not transactional at this stage. These are the initial concepts of marketing. Of late, 3 additional P's have been added to marketing. They are process. Whether you're going to have a process like ISO, a systematic process, and how you're going to undertake your research, where you come up with you tick the right boxes. It started involving people. It started asking people, what do you really want? And then the product is created. And then people want physical evidence. Like today there are companies bringing in technology to convert waste into energy, into renewable energy. But it's an invention in somebody's mind. He's done a pilot plant. So the customer is not going to buy it. Because he has not seen the physical evidence that why he should spend $200 million to do a waste to energy plant which is going to generate power. He may be a scientist, he tick the boxes, but he hasn't seen physical evidence. So that could be a big issue in terms of people have started looking for that. Now, let's go to the sales. I'm trying to keep it very light so that it's just use the basic introduction. Sales. Sales is now customer centric. Okay, so it involves the customer now. It's an interactive process with the buyer. You're talking, you're negotiating, you're sending quotations and offers, and then you're selling. You understand what the customer wants to buy, and then it could be a specific requirement like what I sell. I sell an automated garbage collection system. It costs 100 times the cost of a traditional waste collection system. So here you have to do the marketing, you have to create the product, you have to create the need, you create the solution, and then you adhere to specifications, you write the feasibility, you convince the client that yes, it makes sense for you to invest in this technology, and then you get into the selling process. Let's take luxury products like I mentioned, watches. It all tells time, but it's a niche sales solution which you need to find. Let's take perfumes for that. The same perfume would smell different on all 4 of you or all 15 of you, because it sort of gets involved with your body persona and comes out totally smelling something different. In the showroom, yes, it all smells the same. Once you put it, you come back. Nobody buys a perfume by just spraying and saying he buys it. Most people would go spray, come back after some time. You know the best salesperson in the world, who they are? They sell encyclopedias. All of you might not have seen it. All of you may be born after it. In the 1970s, the encyclopedias were, they were made. The people who sold them are considered the best salesmen because they sell it to the family. So the manufacturers like Time Warner who made encyclopedias engaged teachers as salesmen who went to your home and they talked to the family, the father, the mother. Those days, maybe they are not very educated with parents, but they wanted the children to attain this kind of education. So they sold them a book, and trust me, nobody reads an encyclopedia. You buy it and you keep it. They realized that market. You said, one day I will read it, A to Z. Never. And the marketing point was then, so these teachers, when they came to your house, they saw your furniture. They saw that you had a beautiful fireplace. They saw that you had a nice cupboard with a lot of leather-bound books. So they sold you a leather-bound encyclopedia. So it looks nice in the showcase. That's a value-added marketing strategy which they use. Until today, this matter inside the encyclopedia is still the same. It's got the same pages, it's got everything. Only thing is leather-bound, but it looks good on your decor of your living room. So these were considered one of the best. Then you have people who sell fear, like an insurance agent. When he comes to sell you insurance, the first thing he says that, what are you earning and what are you going to do if you die? I mean, that's not going to sell insurance, but that's how they do it. They create the fear in the customer and convince you that you need to have a life insurance to have that kind of lifestyle after you retire. So these are really considered one of the best salesmen, insurance agent and the guys selling you books. So a sales is very short term, it's transactional. That means there is financial money involved between a guy selling a product which was marketed in the previous, and now actual transaction is taking place. You need to retain your customers in there. So customer retention is, now the new words are, whether there's an intimacy between customer. That means, is there a comfort level between me and the guy buying the product? Because you will come back to me. So the relationship, whether there's an emotional bond, very light, not for selling perfumes, but on very high value product. If the customer trusts you, the next time he needs a product, he will come only to you and not to anybody else. Whether your product has innovated and whether it is excellent in its operational capabilities, and also the comfort that customer feels with you. That's how you retain in terms of customer. Of late, people are talking about a new concept for sales which is called PESTEL. PESTEL means 6 things. 1, P, which is the political scenario which could affect the sale. Whether there is a legislation not to sell petrol-driven cars in Dubai. So there's a political. Like if you go to Scandinavia, they tax you if you have a diesel or a petrol engine car. So people go for hybrid cars to get a tax rebate on their income tax at the end of the year. Then you have the economic conditions of a particular market. If China or India is a market which cannot afford a luxury good, there's no point of going and marketing a product there which is ridiculously expensive. The social demographic. When, this company, you all heard of Timberland? Yeah. Timberland, when they came up with slippers, which a lot of Arabs wear here, they used to make it of a certain particular skin of an animal which was not accepted here. And they launched it and they told the sales guys, go sell Timberland slippers. Word was out in the market that this was not a product. So every single product was sent back. And then the salespeople here sat with them and told them, this is a country which is 45-50 degrees hot. People wear loose-fitting clothes. You need to have the design and the product which will accept that sweat from your feet, the dust, and then come out. And today, the product which came back after a couple of months sold so well in the Middle East, and today for Timberland slippers from the Middle East is one of the largest market share. So that's the social demographics of the region in which you want to sell, which you need to take into factor. Technology, and now everybody's talking about climate change, green. So are there any environmental aspects of your product at the end of its lifetime you need to take into account, and also the legal issues which might crop up. I want to do a simple case study of a product which all of you know, Apple. All of you like Apple, right? You can't live without it. Apple was a disaster when it came the first time around. They lost the PC game. Totally. They were bankrupt. Because they totally miscalculated customer needs. One, their computers were expensive. They were not very in functionality, they were not up to the mark. Because they didn't talk to each other. They only talked to themselves. Even if you had a Word, I remember those days we had a Word document. If you do a Word document in Windows, you could not move it to Apple or a Mac. It wouldn't recognize anything. You had to go on something a totally different platform. It wasn't very easy to use. And the buyer in those days were corporates and corporations who bought computers for their offices. Very few people who are affluent could own a laptop in their houses. Very, very few. So Apple was literally, they lost it to Windows, to IBM, globally. Then they came back in their second avatar. They understood the needs of the customer. They identified the future. They knew that the future was going to be downloadable music, iPod. And thus came the iPod. People are going to take short bites. Those days of cassette and CD and is all gone. They came up with a very classy product, beautiful in aesthetics. They knew people wanted a visual experience. So they created beautiful, the screen was fantastic, high quality. They targeted the affluent market to buy their laptops, their MacBooks. They were way too expensive as compared to another product doing the same thing. And then they knew that they were not bothered about being in a price-sensitive market. They sold a desire for you to buy an Apple product. Stand in line. Which product in the world people stand in line for the release outside Apple stores globally? I don't think any other product people stand in line. It's only Apple. So they created the desire for products. So that was their entire change in their marketing strategy, their sales plan, etc. And let's take a simple exercise. Today we talked about various marketing. See, if you're the CEO of Nike or Adidas and you went to Africa, what do you see? People are walking barefoot. People are, is there a market for Nike in Africa? So research is to be done whether Nike shoes will sell in Africa, or they need to consider the local conditions of the terrain, the kind of living, the kind of money people have there, and then come out with a product. So it could either be a zero market for Nike, or a very possible potential for a very innovative market for somebody. And let's take